Welcome to Social Space, everybody. Yay, we're clapping. We're clapping at the beginning of the
Hey,
show.
I want to know if our audience is clapping.
They should be.
Are you clapping?
They should be.
Clap with us.
I can't hear you. Welcome to the Social Space, everyone. Clap, 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 and you
Yes.
clap at home. All right. When we say that, that's your cue to applaud. Now we all know.
We all
Everybody's
know.
good on it. I'm Chris Horgan. That's Jackie Hager. There's Andrew Bell. This is Jake Truette.
Yes.
With Hospice of Wichita Falls. Stay right there.
I'm not
We got
moving.
some business to take care of, and then
You
we're
got
going to
it.
talk to you. We got to thank our sponsors, as we always do at the beginning of the social space. Our good friends at Four Stars Auto Ranch in Henrietta, Texas. Our good friends
Yeah.
at Falls Truck Center, News Channel 6, and Town Square Media. Couldn't do it without you. So
I know.
thank you. Thank you for making this possible.
We are really
We
grateful.
are thrilled to death.
And if anybody wants to be a sponsor of the show, we're always looking for sponsors.
Always open for sponsors.
Yes. So if
come
you're
on.
sitting out there and you got a business, we're just ready for you.
We got a whole sales team just beating the streets looking for sponsors. It's Andrew.
It's not even
He goes to the
me.
grocery store and someone goes, I saw you on Social Space. Hey, you want to be a sponsor?
No, here's what happens. They
Here we
hear
go.
him first with that laugh.
There we go. Yeah,
It
they hear
did, it did happen the other night,
no. See?
or Mother's Day for lunch. It
Were you on
happened
aisle
to
4
me.
and they were on aisle 6? And they
No,
were like,
we were all congregated in the front
Oh.
waiting to be seated. And
Uh-huh.
I was laughing at Casey or one of my girls, and it happened.
and someone went,
And somebody said, I know
know
that
that
laugh.
oh,
Oh,
goodness
my God.
gracious.
I asked her why she watches, and
Oh.
she,
Did she say because she wanted to hear you laugh?
yeah, she said, I love y'all.
They
It's
asked me
great.
why I do the show, and I say it's because I can make you laugh.
Yeah, that is true.
So there we go.
True.
I like it.
I
It's
do
good.
too. It's a
Yeah.
good
It
show.
echoes. All right, let's talk a little bit about you.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Tell us a little bit about it. Hospice Wichita Falls, tremendous organization. Tell us about you and your involvement with it.
Well, I have been with Hospice Wichita Falls for 6 years now. My current title is Director of Development, and that's just a very simple title for a very complex job. I actually cover a lot of ground with the work that I do. I have the honor of overseeing all of our fundraising efforts, though. Hospice Wichita Falls is a nonprofit entity in this community. We've been here since 1985, and the only reason that we're here is because of the community support. So to be able to talk to donors who just have so many nice things to say about our organization. It's really it's one of the best parts of my job, because Hospice of Wichita Falls sells itself. We have touched so many lives in this community that when I talk to someone that wants to come and either give a donation or come volunteer or just want to learn more, they're usually right there with a story about how we impacted a loved one, about their experience. And so I get to hear what makes our organization so special on a regular basis, and that is great for me because obviously that tells me that we're doing the right thing day in and day out, but it also helps me to go out and to talk to more people like what we're doing now about this organization, because it does so much for so many, and it does it in such a special way.
That's
Gosh,
awesome.
that's a great answer,
Where do I give?
Are we done?
Yeah. Write the check right now. Jake, for the last 2 or 3 years, you guys have been working on the new inpatient care center
That's right.
building. You guys had a ribbon cutting.
We
I would
did.
say you'd almost have to be living underneath a rock not to know about it. But
That's the
anyway,
hope,
yeah, it is stunningly beautiful.
Thank you.
All the way from the front door all the way to the back. So congratulations. I know it's not quite open
Right.
yet. You're waiting final inspection from the state. But kind of walk us through it. For those who haven't physically walked in it, kind of walk us from the front to the back a little bit.
So I guess to start with, it was 3 years in January.
Okay.
But nobody's really counting. I mean, it's just a number. But 3 years through COVID, we actually broke ground in June of 2019, before COVID was even on anybody's radar, at least here, Wichita Falls. So we had, full expectations and hopes because the fundraising had gone so well and so quickly. We had actually started fundraising in December of 2018. So we launched a capital campaign in this community and in the surrounding 12 counties that we serve to raise the funds to primarily build a new inpatient care center, but also focus on some renovations, because our facility has been a lot of things over the years, and we've added on to it and grown and grown. So we knew there was just some things that we needed to update. So it was a $15 million project, and
Wow.
we just blew through the fundraising. And again, it was just conversation after conversation with donors and groups and organizations in this community who said, you don't have to sell us on your organization. How can we get involved, and what can we do to support this project? So that right off the bat told us that we were on the mark for this project and that it was the right time the right project. So we broke ground in June of 2019. Really started heavy construction right at the first part of 2020, January 2020, and then everything just kind of got crazy with COVID. Fortunately, we had done so much pre-work that the project continued probably for a good year until we were really impacted by slowdowns, lockdowns, and things that we
Supply
just couldn't
chain.
control. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we had been able to build some early stock on project supplies and foundational work. So we ran until we couldn't run anymore.
Yeah.
And then we were at the mercy of the supply chain and the shutdowns and what we were and weren't allowed to do with everything that was going on. So through it all, we were in constant communication with the donors because obviously this is a huge investment for so many people and organizations. We wanted to make sure they understood that we're doing everything we can to keep this project moving forward. So I guess for a minute I'll stop. My role was the development director, so we raised the funds, and then I stayed for the project, so to speak. So I became the project manager and development director.
Wow.
So I actually oversaw the construction
Yeah.
from the hospice side. Obviously, I'm not a construction guy.
Right.
Play one on TV a little bit, and was able to work very closely with our architects. BYSP Architects are local here in town. Great organization. Cunningham Clark's our general contractor. We all have a very good working relationship, so it's kind of just another day at the office type thing. We can pick up the phone, we can have conversations, and so the entire project, this center that Jackie, you talked about so nicely, by the way, is really a custom project, 100% designed to Hospice of Wichita Falls. And when you see it, and when the community sees it, our hope is that you will feel hospice, but you will also see the intentionality in every part of the design, from the floor to the ceiling. Everything in that facility is as intentional as it can possibly be. And it's really all designed, number one, around patient care, but then also around hospitality and around taking care of the caregiver, the family, because for hospice, the patient is not just the actual patient, it's the family, the spouse, the caregiver. Whatever that unit is who we consider the patient. So we're taking care of everybody that we can while they're in that facility. So we want them to be comfortable. We want them to have their needs met. Obviously, we want the patient to be taken care of, but we also want them to just focus on being the husband or the wife or the caregiver of the child, whatever that is, so that while they're under our roof, if they choose us, if they come into our center, the only thing they have to worry about while they're there is their loved one. Everything else is taken care of for them. So that was the underlying plan all along. And it's only because we've had our existing center. So I don't know if this is where we want to go back and do a little history. I know you asked me to talk about the new building.
I can't. That was great. And it's not very often that we have a guest for the entire show, but we're actually going to keep you on for the second segment because we still have lots of other questions, and we want to know more about the inside of that beautiful center. And a little bit about some great programs, because everybody's got some time to give outside of just money. There's also time to give too. And you've got some summer programs that are right around the corner that we want to mention. But I'll wrap this first one up, Chris, by saying, our office is dedicated to hospice. That's what we give for Christmas every year to our clients is we buy lights for the Tree of Lights. Right. And I can't think of a better gift to give someone. I always say, do offices really need more chocolate, fudge, or popcorn? No, but even though those are good,
right.
I just think lighting that tree and that star every year makes me happy. So, Chris, we're going to come back in a minute and keep talking hospice.
Yeah, so just stay right there. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, welcome back to the social space. We're clapping. There's your cue, okay?
I heard my mom clap. I know she's clapping.
I'm going to get an applause sign and we're going to put it up in here. Yeah. And we'll flash it on the screen.
Come
when
on,
it's your
Sue
turn.
Steinberger, keep clapping.
Sue's still clapping. She has no idea what we just said because she's like, yes! All right. We're talking about hospice in Wichita Falls. And in that first segment, we talked a lot about the new center that's not quite open yet. We're waiting on the state of Texas. But that's going to happen. We know it will. And so now we're going to move on.
Yeah, so Jake, did a great brief overview
Yes.
of the building itself and that kind of thing. We want to know about the key features of the building.
Well, it's big. It's big. It's a freestanding center, so it is all inpatient center, and it's designed to support everything that goes on inside. So it's 38,000 square feet. It's built on the old Sea Blue Swim Club, so it actually sits on almost 3.5 acres of property. So that much land on that side of town, it's not easy to come by. So we're very fortunate to be able to have that close to our main campus right now. So it's a perfect spot, and we really filled every square foot of that property. So it's really designed around being very light, very welcoming. So there's multiple kind of gathering areas when you first walk in. We have a bistro dining area, which we have not had before. So we are partnering with the Orchard, Javier Solorio and his team. They will be not only preparing all of the meals for our patients, but they'll also be providing weekly menu of opportunities for the guests, the caregivers that come in, maybe traveling in and out of town. But also the staff and the volunteers can come in and also buy lunch, buy breakfast, buy.
Can we just drop by and have lunch?
I'm not going to stop you, Chris. I think you're welcome.
Maybe we do that.
Anytime. I
Yeah,
think
we could.
The more the better. You can experience the facility because again, it's all designed around hospitality. So that feature is something brand new. We've not been able to do that before. So everything that we currently do out of our existing inpatient unit, we're just taking to a whole other level with this new facility. So there's a kind of a main corridor that connects the front area to the back. Down that corridor, we have a large chapel, which is just a really beautiful, kind of a calm space that people can stop in and they can actually just have some quiet time. They can pray, they can just sit and kind of gather themselves. Families can take a few minutes and just have some time. But we also can have memorial services and even funerals there.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Since I have been, in 6 years that I've been in hospice, we've actually had a wedding also in our facility. So, it's just those things you may not actually think about, but throughout all of this, we're just grateful that we can accommodate some of these things and that we have these resources available. So the chapel's a great feature. Right outside of the chapel is a children's courtyard, so it's a secure kind of a play area. It's going to have a nice turf surface and some climbing equipment so that if kids are on site and they need to burn off some of that energy, they've got a safe, secure place to do that. It connects to a children's playroom, so it's got an indoor space as well, again, right off that main hallway. So really thinking about kids and what kids like to do, which is if they're just in the building, they're going to be doing that in the building, so why not give them a dedicated space to do that? So,
Give them an indoor-outdoor.
that's right. They can channel some of that energy in the right place. So we have that, and then obviously the heart of the facility is really where the patients are taken care of. So we have 24 inpatient care suites in the new facility. Our current facility only has 12, so we are doubling our capacity, and we're so excited about that because there's currently almost always a waiting list at the existing center.
Now, Jake, when the new facility officially opens and patients go there, you've got those patient beds at the other facility. What happens with that building?
That's really kind of the second part of this entire project. So the big project is to really then come back once the new center opens and we're admitting patients in the new facility.
Got it.
We will come back and renovate the old facility. So the existing facility that's under the roof of the old inpatient unit will become a palliative care clinic. So one of the two wings, it's a two-wing facility, the old facility is. So it will become a palliative care clinic where we actually can see our palliative care patients. We have a growing palliative care program. Not hospice care, that's probably a time for another program down the road because we do have so many different programs. But it is just such a growing program. We need a base of operations for our staff that are seeing patients on a palliative care level.
I know we could talk forever, but I want to make sure that those that are watching understand that, the biggest portion of your hospice dedication is not inpatient, it's outpatient.
Absolutely.
So I want to make sure that the viewers know that yes, this inpatient facility is amazing, but the majority of your team travels to the patient in the comfort of their own home. Correct?
You're right, Jackie. So we actually serve a 12-county area, Wichita County, and then the surrounding counties around Wichita Falls. So the vast majority of the people that we see are in their homes or in the nursing facility or assisted living, wherever they call home. The vast majority of our nurses and our care teams are going to them and providing that care in home. The center is really an extra part of what we offer, whether that's for respite care. Let's say the spouse or the caregiver needs a break. They need to go get groceries. They need to go get their hair cut. They just need a break. We can provide that respite, or we're providing that around-the-clock care. The main difference with the inpatient setting is that it is around-the-clock care. Your patient is under our roof, under our care, and all of the amenities that we provide in that center are available to them. So.
Well, I know we want to bring you back and talk programs, but let me ask the question probably most people, sometimes don't really know the answer to. When your family member is getting near to that time, when is the right time to call hospice?
That's a great question, and it's a hard question.
Yeah.
Because it's a tough subject. People don't enjoy talking about hospice. I mean, we're kind of the odd ones because we live it every day and we understand the great benefit that it provides. But to the general public, end of life is a tough discussion to have.
Yeah.
Honestly, studies will say and will tell you that the time to call hospice is when you're having that discussion with the doctor or the specialist, and there's nothing more we can do. That type of phrase is said. When you've exhausted all treatment possibilities, when the disease has just kind of run its course and there's nothing else that medically can be done. Let us come in and let us provide that support so that your wishes are fulfilled with whatever time you have left. And so it's really about maximizing the end of life. It's not about giving up. It's not about dying, although that is a part of the process. But it really is about, what are your wishes? Do you want to spend time with your family? Do you want to be able to see your grandkids play? Do you want to be able to go out and have a cheeseburger or go fishing? Or, if you're so heavily medicated that you can't do those things and enjoy those things, that's not ideal.
Right.
So we have trained professionals, we have amazing social workers, we have amazing nurses, amazing physicians and volunteers who are trained and who do this day in and day out for hundreds of patients a year, thousands of patients a year, who really focus on those wishes. What can we do to make your journey the best that it can possibly be for you, because it's different for everyone. And there's so many factors that play in, race, ethnicity, background, family dynamics, religious background, and our teams take all that into account. It's just such a varied process. But it's an honor every time someone calls Hospice of Wichita Falls and allows us to come in, because we become part of your family, and not in like an encroaching way. We do that to really allow the family to enjoy that time.
Right.
Hey, Chris, typically our third set of the show is called the City Space. We have so many things we want to talk about that's happening this summer. Do you mind if we use the City Space to talk about this?
Let's just like we're lighting lights.
Yeah.
I'll donate the City Space time to Hospice.
Because we still have 2 or 3 questions we want to ask you that I think are real important, Jake. So thank you, Chris. And we'll take a break and then we'll come back and ask those questions.
More to cover.
Okay.
Stay with us.
Sounds great.
New arrivals coming in every week at 4 Stars Auto Ranch. You get more for your trade and award-winning satisfaction from 4 Stars Auto Ranch.
Experience commitment here at 4 Stars Auto.
Four incredible radio stations. That's who we are. We are Town Square Media, and we bring the best of radio to the North Texas area. Wake up early with News Talk 1290. That's us. How about Kelly Raspberry on 92.9 NIN? Yep, that's us. Bringing you the best of country with 102.3 The Bull. That's us. And rocking it all day long with 106.3 The Buzz. That's us. We are Town Square Media, and we're proud to be a sponsor of the Social Space.
Welcome back to the Social Space.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they're learning. I'm so proud of all of you.
Easily trainable.
So proud. I'm Chris. That's Jackie. There's Andrew. This is Jake. We're talking Hospice at Wichita Falls today, and all the amazing things that go with hospice. A lot of people just end of life care. But Andrew, there's really a lot more to hospice than
definitely.
just that.
Yeah, Jake, thanks for staying for the third segment.
You bet.
Yeah,
Glad to do
we
it.
heard that you have a bunch of summer camps coming up.
We
So
do,
can you talk a little bit about that?
I absolutely will, and it all kind of ties together because
Okay.
the project allowed us to build on a grief support center
Uh-huh.
and a meeting space where Jackie, your team
Yeah.
has been there. Y'all have come in and seen that great space.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we've done for many years is a camp for kids called Camp Grinnigan, and it's a grief support camp. And so it's a week-long camp in the summertime. It's not an overnight camp, but it is a week-long camp that gives kids the opportunity to come who have experienced any kind of loss. It's not just a loss on hospice services, though. So one of the big things is to keep in mind is that this is a free program, and whatever your loss was does not have to be your loved one on our services. Any kind of loss. If you've lost a loved one, this camp is for you. And it's just a great way to learn how to cope with loss, especially with kids. They're still learning how to just be humans, So
Yeah.
it's a whole different ballgame when you incorporate losing mom, dad, grandma, sibling. You just don't know how to process that. So we have some really great volunteers, obviously some very well-trained staff that do a wonderful job with the children's camp. A couple of years ago, we started a teen version of that camp as well, because the camp was really geared towards kind of the younger set, but
Yeah.
we've noticed that there really is a dynamic in the community and a place to really focus more on teen grief and what that looks like, because teens are going through stuff a lot different than the younger
Sure.
kids are. So it's got a real specific approach. It all happens in our grief support center on our main campus on Johnson Road. The facility is only about 2 years old. It was actually the very first part of the project when we started building across the street. We also started building on the main campus, so it's been open for a couple of years now. Just a great opportunity for anyone who's experienced loss that has kids that have experienced loss to come and check that out.
And isn't there something, did I hear you guys talk a little earlier about the pet bereavement that's happening in August?
We have a Rainbow Bridge program.
Okay.
It really focuses on the loss of a pet, because pets are
Yeah.
people too, and people
Yeah.
experience grief when their pet dies, especially if that pet was their person.
Yeah.
If you live by yourself and you've got that dog or the cat that was who you
Sure.
spent your time with, that's a hard thing. That's a hard thing to work around. So
Yeah.
the ability to come and talk through that, and sometimes just hear other people kind of share in that grief, it's a very unique opportunity that we're able to offer.
I
So-
want to dive in quickly. I always think there comes a time in every person's life, if you're healthy and you're blessed to live in a little older, sometimes you want to start volunteering.
Sure.
So I think hospice would just be an amazing place to volunteer. How does someone find out about opportunities of volunteerism at hospice?
So the two easiest ways are either to go to our website, howf.org, or to call 940-691-0982, and we can get you plugged in with the resources that we have available. We have different volunteer trainings that happen throughout the year, so there's always an opportunity to get onboarded and plugged in. But volunteers are really the heart of Hospice of Wichita
yeah.
Falls. I mean, Hospice of Wichita Falls started by a group of people who became our first volunteers because they saw the need for a hospice in this community. So volunteers have been around as long as we have. And so it's a great opportunity. So we have people that not only donate, obviously I talked about my role in the first segment, through philanthropy and giving of your time and your resources, but the giving of your time through volunteerism and advocating in the community is a huge way that folks can give back. And we see a lot of volunteers who have experienced our services through a loved one's journey, and they've been so impressed by that they come back and they want to be a part of it. So volunteers see patients, they sit with patients, they work in our facility, they do administrative roles, they help us answer phones. I mean, we could not do what we do without our volunteers. And
Well,
we
I
have-
want to mention all those administrative people, but those nurses.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. I mean, the heart and soul of those nurses that take care of those patients is just amazing.
We have the best. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't say that lightly. Any kind of nursing is difficult. To
Yeah.
be a hospice nurse and to do what they do for every patient every day is just incredible.
So lastly, if you're watching this show and you've been affected by Hospice of Wichita Falls and it's really moved you and you think, gosh, I'd love to be able to give, there's lots of ways to give to hospice, obviously through the Tree of Lights
Yes.
every December. But what if you don't want to wait till December? You want to do a gift in honor or in memory. How does someone go about doing that?
We receive gifts daily, just like that, Jackie. So
Okay.
we receive memorials and honorarium gifts almost daily. I mean, we have so many people who will, in an obituary, in lieu of flowers, please make donations to hospice in Wichita Falls. That's a wonderful opportunity for us to be able to turn around with that investment and be able to provide more care. Because as a nonprofit, we are able to take those donations, and so much of the ability as a nonprofit is to provide that charity care. So we never turn anyone away, regardless of their social status, their insurance status, or their ability to pay. And those donations, whether it's a memorial, whether you're going to come and buy a memorial brick, we have memorial tiles, just general donations, any kind of support, Tree of Lights golf tournament that we have every year.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
those
the golf
funds
tournament.
support the above and beyond work that we do every day. So it is so important, and we never want the community to lose sight that whether you're talking about giving your money or your time or just word of mouth, there is always a way that we want your support. If you believe in our organization, and you can, regardless of what that is, we would love to have your support.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
that's awesome.
What
awesome.
a great show. Jake,
amazing.
thank you so much for your wisdom and
it's
your
my pleasure.
time. Yeah.
Jake, you might need to go to some classes for public relations.
Was it
I got some tips, 30 years in news. Oh, yeah. I'll come back. I'm kidding. What a great presentation.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you all, everyone. Thank you, Jake.
Yes.
Thanks, Jackie. Thanks, Andrew. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
And we will see you next week on the Social Space.
Yay.
Okay, clap.
Medicare can be confusing. That's why it's important to have a locally born and raised expert to help you understand all your options. I'm Colby Bustacco, and I'm ready to serve you. Medicare changes every year, and that's why it's important to review the changes annually. I understand that everyone's needs are different. That's why I work hard to tailor a plan specifically for you, your family, and your lifestyle. That's the Bustacco way, more personal, more thoughtful, and more trusted.
New arrivals coming in every week at 4 Stars Auto Ranch. You get more for your trade and award-winning satisfaction from 4 Stars Auto Ranch.
Experience commitment here at 4 Stars Auto.